everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my crochet channel. Well, today is step number 3 in our mini crochet along. We're making a little angel doll. She's soft and squishy. In step number 1, we stitched up her head and her body. In step number 2, we stitched up her legs, her arms, her halo, and her wings. Today we're going to stitch her all together and stuff her, add her face, her hair, and just finish her all up so she's ready for you to give or to keep. If you would like that free crochet pattern, you can find that pattern down in the notes underneath this video. So it just takes a small amount of stuffing because we're not going to stuff the whole leg. What we're going to do is we're just going to take a little bit and we're going to push it down in there. Then we'll take a little bit more, not very much, and push it down in there. You want to make sure that the bottom part where the hand or the foot is stuffed, but we don't want to stuff it up here. We're going to close this up with our needle and that tail of yarn that we left. And we're just going to take our needle and just whip stitch that closed like this. All right, we don't have much stuffing up in here. All the stuffing is down here. And you can push it around a little bit, but we don't want it super stuffed because this is where we're going to attach it. And we want it to be just a little bit floppy. And so we're going to do all four, both arms and both legs, exactly the same. And then we'll tie that off and cut that yarn off. And that's ready to add to our doll. All right. I got all the arms and legs ready to go. And now we're going to stuff our angel. We want to make sure we get a good amount. Her legs are rolling off. Make sure we get a good amount up in her head. All right, and then we'll just start stuffing her. And it's up to you how much stuffing you want to put in there. I kind of like them to be a little bit more squishy so they can love on them. All right, so I've got a bunch of stuffing in there. I got just the right amount, it looks like. All right, so the next thing we want to do is close up her skirt and add her legs. So I grabbed some straight pins, and what I want to do is I want to decide where I want the front of my doll. And I want back here where I have some of those color changes on the back. And so this is the front, and we're going to push her down flat, and we're going to take a pin. And we're going to pin the side. Okay, then I'm going to pin this side. So my pins are a little bit bent there. They get used a lot. I'm going to repin this one because I didn't like the way that looked. Push the stuffing down and pin it flat. All right, now we're going to put the legs. And I like the legs to kind of be like this. I like that. And so what we'll do is we'll pin the leg on the back of the doll where we want it placed because we're going to sew that on first. And look at it, make sure you like that it's the way it's going to look when the doll is facing forward. Okay, so we'll pin her legs on. And this is her front, so make sure you like the way the legs look. All right. And so we will pin it together. And I'm just going to use one pin and stick it right there. All right, and so that's where we're going to close the doll up on the bottom. So we'll grab some yarn. We'll thread it onto our needle. Remember, this is the front of our doll, so we want it to look nice and pretty. So I'm going to take this pin out, and I'm just going to whip stitch right along the bottom. Tuck that tail in. And I'm basically going through the stitches of the single crochets. Now, if you prefer and you want a single crochet or slip stitch that across, you can. It's just fine. It's not a problem. But I like doing it this way. I think it gives it a much neater appearance. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move that pin out. And I'm going to push this up because now I want to grab the front of the skirt, the back of the skirt, and the leg. And we're going to stitch through all three of those. This is also why it's important that the dress and the leg be the same color of yarn. Okay, now we'll put a couple of stitches in between those legs. Make sure that's going to stay closed there. And then we'll stitch on the second leg. We're going to go through the front, the back, and the leg. There are lots of different ways to attach the legs. This is just the way I like doing it. Like I said, you could slip stitch across, you could single crochet across, and I've done several different ways on different dolls that I've done. But when I'm doing a small doll, I just really like doing it this way. And I'm just about playing chicken with my yarn here. I may have to add a little bit. We'll see. Nope, looks like I'm going to make it. Alrighty. And we'll just stitch that in there. I want it to go back in farther, so I'm going to do that. Should have had just a smidgen more yarn, would have made that just a little bit easier. All right, so I squished her head up a little bit. So here she is with her little legs and her skirt. Poochie there. And make sure they're even. You don't want one leg to be like way over here or whatever. And there's her legs. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to gather in her neck. All right, so I've got a long piece of white yarn that matches her dress and my needle. We're going to thread that on there. And we're going to start on the back. And we're just going to go along the edge of where that last row of flesh tone was stitched. And we're just going to go in and out all the way around. And this is just going to give her a more distinct neckline. There we go. And now we're to the back. And we'll just pull it in just a little. I'm going to make a little knot here. And we'll pull it in just a little bit. And I usually just bring this string around one more time, just so it stays put. We don't want her losing her neck. There we go. And again, you know I like to do 3 knots so it stays put. And then we'll just take our hook and grab those strings and pull them to the inside. That last loop there. All right. So now our little angel baby has a distinct neck. So the next thing we need to do is sew on the arms. I have already sewn on one of the arms, and here's the other one. I've threaded on about a 12-inch piece of matching yarn. And what you're going to do is you're going to line up the arm, and you're going to stick it up in the air Put your hands in the air like you just don't care. And right here at the first row of our white, we're going to stitch on that arm. And we're going to do it the same way, just some whip stitches going through. And we're going to go across and then back across because dolls are notoriously carried by their arms. And we want those arms to be nice and strong if it gets drug around. Okay, we're going to make sure that corner's on there good. Alright, then I'm just going to stitch back across because I want that arm to stay put. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, now right underneath this arm, we're going to tie a couple of knots so it's nice and snug. We'll clip those down a little bit and then we'll pull it through into the stuffing from the inside. Give them a hook through there. We'll just grab those and pull those in. Alright, so now here's our baby doll, our angel. And the next thing we're going to do is add her wings. Alright, so those are going to go on the back side of our angel. So we'll turn our doll over. We're going to line that wing up right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it and fold it in half. And we're going to line it up the center of the head and the skirt. We've got some yarn that matches on our needle. And we're going to start right here at the neck and stitch a couple of good stitches. And we're going to whip stitch down about maybe 2 inches. We're not going to stitch the bottom of the wing. We're just going to go down a couple of inches, which is about halfway. And then we'll just stitch right back up. We want the wings to be a little bit floppy, but we want them to be on there securely. And so that's why we're doing it this way. There we go. And we're back at the top and we'll tie that knot again. 1, 2, 3 knots, nice and secure. We'll cut that down. We'll pull that inside. And there's our wings. They're on secure, but they're going to flop around. Okay? Now, the last thing we have to do to our wings is take a piece of yarn like this, put it through that hole. There we go. And this is why we didn't want to stitch all the way down. Okay, we're going to tie this up and sort of ruffle that bottom a little bit. And now it looks like wings even more. All right. There it is. And we'll just grab that and pull that to the inside as well. I like to pull it in through the stuffing because when you pull it through the stuffing, it stays put. All right, so there's our little angel wings. All right, now we're going to do the angel's hair, and then we'll do all the finishing touches for the neck and the face and things like that. All right, so I've chosen gold yarn for my angel's hair. And the first thing we're going to do is just start stitching on the hair on the head. So I've cut a piece. I'm sure I'm going to need more than this, so I cut a piece about 18 inches long. And I'm going to be working from the center of the head. So the first thing I'm going to do is make some little stitches. I'm going to leave this out. And then we're just going to make some stitches. To sort of make the hair frame the face. So she has a few for bangs. Don't worry about how it looks right now. What I'm doing now is framing it out so I know where I'm going to put my stitches. All right. And then we'll come back in and sort of fill it in. And I like to keep it simple. I don't want to do a lot of like make a wig for it and all that stuff. I like doing it this way. I think it's fun and I think it's easy. There we go. So I'm just going around. You can see it's shorter in the front and I'm making it longer in the back. And we're working from that center like that. And I'm going to continue doing this, and I'm going to have to add some more yarn until it's completely framed all the way around. So I completed the top of her head, and you're just stitching over and over and over, and I made the bangs shorter in the front, and I wanted it to be just a little bit ornery because I think she's an ornery little angel. All right, and then I added this braid, and when the braid comes down this way, we don't need to worry about adding any ears. And how we do the braid is we cut off 3 strands about 24 inches long, and we're going to fold that in half. We'll take our crochet hook and we'll go right up in here and pull those loops through. All 3 of them. There we go. All right, we'll cut those. I'm going to make sure everything's even before I cut though. Let's make sure. There we go. All right, now we'll cut the loops and we'll make our braids. We'll divide up those strands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll just braid her hair. Isn't she cute? She's just ornery little angel. All right, so now I'm going to take a piece of this green and tie a bow. We'll try that again. There we go. I like to tie it in a knot and then tie the bow. That way the bow doesn't come off. Even if it comes untied, it doesn't come off. All righty. So we'll bring that down some. We'll clip those ends of the bow, and then we'll clip the end of our braid. And now she has 2 cute little braids. All right, let's go ahead and take her halo and stick that on. And then we're going to do the bow around her neck and her face. All right, so we'll take our halo and we'll set it right on top. And I like to just kind of make a couple of stitches. I don't like to stitch the whole thing down. I like to make a stitch like there. And then I'll go kind of through those stitches. And if you want her halo to be crooked because she's ornery, you can do that too. All right, then I'm going to come up over here. Because I don't want it to sit like plop right down on top of her head. I want it to kind of sit cute. Because she's ornery. See, I'm just sort of coming through, then coming up. And if you're worried that your kiddos are going to pull it off or something, you certainly can stitch it on more than I am. All right, one more stitch back here. And then we're back where we started. There's her cute little halo. Isn't she adorable? Love that. Alrighty, so I'm just going to stitch through a little bit of those. And weave that in. And I'm just going to go around and take it to the back. There we go. And we'll clip that off. I don't clip her hair. Alright, so let's pooch her face up a little bit. And there's her halo. So I'm just going to make a chain for her neck to add a little bow out of this red sparkle. That way it matches the stripe here. And we've got the green bows on her braids. Alright, so I'm just going to make a chain. I'm going to chain about 50 chains. So I've chained about 50 chains. I'm going to cut that yarn. And we'll tie off the ends real good with a nice knot. We'll do the same to this side. Alrighty. Now we want to cover this up where we gathered her neck. Alright, so we'll go around from the back and bring it to the front. Make sure we get around that string. And then again, I'm going to tie a little knot so it doesn't come off, because we don't want any kids grabbing that and getting it around their necks. And then we'll just add that nice bow. Now, if you want it to be a longer little bow, you certainly can make it longer. Alright, so now all we have left to do is add her eyes and her mouth. So we're going to do a real simple face. I've got some brown yarn on here for the eyes, and I'm going to use some red for the mouth. And so what we're going to do is right across here, we're just going to go in and just make a little slit. And then I'm going to come over here so I can make sure it's nice and even. Because we want her to be with her eyes closed. Okay? There we go. Real simple eyes. And then we'll pull those strings to the back. Like that. So there's her little eyes, nothing major. And you can use safety eyes if you want to. I just didn't want to for this project. Alright, and then we're going to make just a tiny little mouth. Alright, her little lips and her little eyes. And we'll cut this off in the back. And now my cute little angel baby doll is complete. She has braids, she has cute little lace wings, and she's super squishy and huggable. And I just love her. I think I'll keep her for myself. I'll let my grandkids play with her when they're here.